what we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly. Gentlemen?
So for those of you that aren't in North America, the NHL hockey season starts January 13th. Thank heavens for that. And so I've got my son's hockey stick right here. And, simple drill, I like using the hockey stick because holding on to a rectangular shaft right here is just really easy for people to grip it. And then they can feel the sense of how you can really throw this angle A to B. And you can see how it gets my right angle in tight to it gets my right elbow in tight to my body. And as soon as I add any pivot to this, now I get a great looking impact condition. If I'm not throwing A to B, look what happens to my elbow, and now all of a sudden I have throwaway. So the key is if you have the correct A to B throw, your trail arm's in the right place, you add any pivot to this at all, and you'll have more leg than you ever wanted. And the beauty of it is you're not trying to pull the handle. You're not pulling down on the grip. You're getting the business end of the golf club is going out and fast. And that's what we want. We don't want to pull this way, install this thing, and then have to jump up and make it respond. Let's get something like a yardstick or a little hockey stick. And I love little hockey sticks because it's just such an easy way for me to unhinge this and feel it tap my lead arm. And the faster I do that, I can't really even get to my lead arm. But it gets my trail arm in a great lag position for those of you that are interested in what lag is. It's not something you hold. It's something that you try to get rid of as fast as you can. And by doing that, guess what? You get more than you need.
Yeah. And another question in relation to this is from Mark, and it's swing shallowing.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about shallowing these days. Does it happen naturally with a good transition to the downswing, or is it manufactured? Can a player be successful without a significant shallowing, one plane swing?
I think that most of the folks that come see me, okay, I'm going to say probably 95 out of 100, okay, have some kind of a condition where the club gets too zipped around behind them. And then on the way down, they're not going A to B because they're getting the handle pulled steeply, right? So think about what Peter's taught for years is way more structure in the sense of A to B. So in A to B, if we look at this, watch where the club head's going. The club head's going kind of back and behind me as I'm trying to take the club head to the golf ball. So to me, that is the essence of shallowing. Now, can we be a little bit more, do some people float it a little bit differently and make it a little bit more exaggerated? Absolutely. Do most orthodox or tour conventional swings look that way? They don't. They look more like what Peter coaches and what I tend to coach. Do I have leeway, and do I choose maybe to exaggerate for certain people so they have a sense of things a little more deeply? I do. So to your point about shallowing, if we develop this sense of handle first, club head last, have good structure, and this club goes away from me, that couldn't be more shallow, right? This handle pulling down steepens the golf club. So the more I'm going A to B to the ball with some pivot, you couldn't be in a better shallow, as people want to call it these days, which is fine, direction of strike on the golf ball. Okay, so Peter, I'll let you take over from there, mate.
Yeah, look, I think we've got one of the golf players just flying in actually overhead. This business of shallowing, if you get too shallow and get too much inside out, then you hit behind the ball. So,
right.
It's shallowing that as going inside too much is just as bad as being too steep. So the A to B line really nails the right path and gives you the right amount of shallowness coming into the ball. You don't want to come down steep for sure. And I think one of the big things that causes people to get too shallow is they transfer their weight too soon, and they get off onto their front foot, and they leave the club back here, so they're really coming in too much from inside, and then you're going to hit it either behind the ball or hit it on the and top it on the upswing. So A to B handles both. So when you go back, when you fire down A to B, away from your right foot, away from your right knee, your right hip, your right shoulder, and you fire so the club shaft moves in line with that lead arm. Basically, you're on that correct amount of angle of attack. You know, it's not too shallow, not too steep. So you can get caught up on either side of that line and be not in a good position.
Yeah, no, just to add, for those viewers out there that maybe have a hard time getting their 5-wood, their 3-wood up in the air, anything that doesn't have much loft, you know, if the club does come down onto the golf ball a little steeper, then you lose opportunity for the club to be effective with the ball. You might get away with it with the wedges or the higher lofted golf clubs, 7-iron, 6-iron maybe. But as soon as you get into the steeper, the flatter face golf clubs, it's so imperative that the club be traveling in a pitch that makes sense, where the club head's relatable to the ball on the ground. Because if it's coming down steep, that you have very limited window of any kind of reasonable success to get that loft on the golf ball. So some people will come see me and they say, you know, I really can't hit my 3-wood. And sometimes people are just flat slow, and I'll say, you know, my 3-wood's probably not a good club for you. 3-wood won't be a good club for me in 10 years. I'll go to a 4 or 5-wood. But to have the club traveling on the right pitch, relatable to the ground and the ball, will make the loft available, and you'll hit some good shots. And if you present the club too downward onto the golf ball, then you have such a narrow window of any success there. You've got to be, you know, I don't want to say perfect, because perfect would be delivering the club great, but you have to be lucky in order to get the club on the ball to have some kind of reasonable flight. So that's why this stuff that we've taught over the last 4 months in these seminars is vital for you to really hit some reliable shots.
Fantastic.
Okay, we've got room for just a couple more questions. We're going to go back into the question here. So it's a question about the top of the backswing, and basically, what is the current preferred position of the left wrist at the top of the backswing? Should it be cocked, bent, or cocked and flat? Can you just explain, because we see quite a few different top of the backswing positions on the tour. So,
I'll hand over to you, Martin, first again, if you will. Because
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it. So, you know, again, a lot of it comes back to if think about what hands can do. Okay, I can have vertical relationships with my hands. These are just up and downs. I can have left and rights with my hands. And so, you know, horizontal and vertical behaviors. What I see a lot of with a lot of golfers that really struggle is too much of these verticals. They'll get to the top and the lead wrist will be too bent back, okay? Sometimes the trail wrist won't be bent back enough because they've got too much of a vertical relationship. They haven't learned how to do what Peter taught me 25 years ago now, which is to kind of push the right arm bent, or for you lefties, push the trail arm bent. So when you have a nice mid-body hand location, which is pretty tour neutral, what you're looking at right now at me at address, that's pretty much a neutral. You might see the odd guy a little bit more forward and the odd guy a little bit more back, but to see for the most part, people in what's just a balanced address position. It's just easier to move from here. This is address. Impact would be something that looked a bit more like this. But if you learn how to kind of push your right arm bent, now you have a wide right arm, you have a bent back right wrist, you have a flattish left wrist. Now you're in a position where, you know, you develop a little bit of turn there, and your hands are in a great spot to go ahead and smash the golf ball. If we want to take on a bunch of different wrist conditions that make things more complex, then complexity has to occur back into the golf ball. So my preference is simple, flattish, lead wrist at the top, bent trail wrist, and from there it's pretty easy to go A to B.
What we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly.